We've been called out on a fault and we'd like to be able to show you a process and a step-by-step guide that we go through every time we attend a fault. We're going to go inside now and have a chat with the customer and get them to explain all the scenarios that they've just been through during that fault. It may have been happening last night, so get them to take you through what they were using, were they turning any light switches, or were they using certain appliances in the home as to when the power tripped out, and what they did at the switchboard. Did they flick any switches? Were they turning things on? Sometimes you may have to come out and the customer will take you through at the switchboard what they went through, or they'll actually just take you through inside the home and show you when I was using the kettle, or I was using this particular appliance. Or we may just been sitting there watching TV and the power's just gone out and we're unable to get it back on. It just helps you when you go back out to the switchboard, start doing some testing to work out exactly what the problem is. And also, you're also building a little bit of rapport with a customer and have that little chat. You could be in there for even a good 10 minutes going through what they've experienced during that fault. So then you can actually go back out to the switchboard so you can do some tests. And also when you're inside, make sure that all the appliances and everything is still plugged in. If the customer asks you, do you want me to go around and remove everything? Say, no, look, I'd appreciate if you could leave all the appliances in for me. So that way, not only are you testing at the switchboard the wiring, you're also testing all the appliances to see if there's some appliance issues as well. But we'll take you through that. If the customer's already removed the appliances, just leave them the way it is. Go out there and you can just test to see the state of the wiring of the home straight away. And then once you've found all your faults, you'll have to actually go back through that process, get the customer to plug all their appliances back in and redo some tests to see if they've actually plugged the fault back in. So they're the processes that we go through. Another important thing to mention is just to explain the customer, is it okay if we can turn the power off so we can do testing safely? And they'll let you know, look, there's someone in the back room, there's part power working and they're just finishing an assignment, or they maybe need some power for medical reasons. So it is important to make sure that you ask the customer, is it safe for us to isolate the power? Because that's what we want to do. We want the power completely de-energized at the switchboard for us to do our tests properly. Just been in and had a good chat with a customer and they've just told us everything that they've been experiencing inside. And I can't stress enough, make sure that all your testing is done at the switchboard. Before we touch this meter box, there's a couple of points I'd like to stress and go over. One is, let's say that someone has been electrocuted in this property. The worst thing that you could probably do is just go and grab this meter box before you touch it. I would stress to go through a safe approach procedure before you touch that meter box. This property, we haven't had any electrocution, so I'm just going to wear our normal rubber gloves to be able to touch this meter box before we do some testing, just so you've got a little bit of extra safety while you're working on a fault. The first thing that we'll actually go through is grab our phone out and take a photo of the switchboard. We can clearly see that one has been tripped out here. We'll take a photo before we touch anything inside this switchboard. If you don't want to take a photo, you may even put a little bit of white tape, put a little texture dot on that white tape so you know when you're about to remove that cover. Sometimes you might knock off 3 or 4 circuits just by removing that cover. So by marking it, taking a photo of it so that you can actually refer back to your photo and you know it's 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th circuit across is the one that we actually need to really look at and test, because that's the one that has the issue on it right now. Before we go into any more, make sure you go through our isolation process and de-energize the power to this switchboard so it's completely safe inside before we remove that cover. We've completed our isolation process of our switchboard. Looking down at the bottom here, we've got our service fuse. The service fuse that was in the switchboard, we've actually put in the van. So make sure that you actually take that off site. It's locked up inside your van and there's no way that that service fuse can be put back in, especially if you need to be able to go inside and do some further testing. No one can just plug that straight back in. So that's important. This is our dummy fuse that we use. We've actually put some white tape around it so we know that this is our dummy fuse. You can get clear fuses as well, so you can clearly see that you've got not a proper fuse inside there before you put that in. But that's just a little tip. Also the panel, we've been able to put this up on top of the switchboard. We've got enough room. Some boards you have to put it down on the ground because it's probably a bit too low and it'll just fall off on you. I've also marked with a bit of pencil on the panel as well to identify the circuit that we're working on, and also put a little pencil mark on there so that can be rubbed off if need be once we finish. But just making those little points so you know, once we go through and do some tests, you may have to turn off a few circuits to do some other tests, so we know that that's our issue that we're working on, and we will thoroughly go through that test on that particular circuit. So we're actually ready now, it's safe, so we can now do some tests in the board. First test that we're going to do, which is also the first test in your mandatory testing, is earth continuity. What we're going to do is do a continuity test of our earthing system, and the first test that we like to do is we'll do a quick battery check. Just put your dial down to battery, turn it on, and it just comes up with the condition of your battery. Make sure you do that, it's pretty important. Turn that off. Now we're going to go up to the 3 ohm scale, and we're going to zero the meter. Turn your meter on. And now I'm just going to, we can adjust the dial here and get the proper resistance out of that lead and make sure it's 0. Just a quick test, doesn't take very long, and I know that that is on 0 now. So what we're going to do is test your tester, so just 2 points on the frame, and make sure it goes to 0, which it is. So now what we can do is I'm going to prove on the side of the meter box is actually got a great bond to the earth bar. So if I touch that there, it's 0. Touch off onto the earth bar to 0. So I know now, and if I touch at various points, we get 0 at lots of points. I've got a great earth bond at various points inside this meter box, and I know that I'm working safe inside here. The next test that we can do, now that I've proven that, is I know I've got a good earth point at any part of this meter box. We've got our earth electrode. So that's also important to make sure that our main earthing system is working properly. Let's get that right. So I'm just going to touch onto the box itself. I'm going to go to the cable first. We're getting 0.1. The earth clip, scratch on a bit of a point here, and we're getting about 0.25. I'll scratch straight onto the electrode because that's the test that you want to go straight to the electrode. But because it's so close, I just want to be able to prove that I've got a great bond to the cable, which we did. We got 0.1. It's below 0.5, and we're getting 0.25 straight to the electrode itself, to the meter box. So we know that our main earthing system is good. If that was to fail for some reason, but I got a really good reading on that earth cable, which we did, it was 0.1, I would probably take off that earth clip, which we'll probably do after this video, and redo that and make sure that we get a perfect earthing system to that earth electrode. Insulation resistance test on this circuit, or IR test. That's our next test, which is actually the second mandatory test that you actually do. We're using our IRC tester to actually do this test. And what we're doing is testing the load side of our faulty circuit, and we're testing our live conductors to earth. So we'll do each one separately. So what we'll do is we'll make sure we are on the megohm scale. We're going to use 250 volt scale because this property still has appliances that are plugged in, so we're going to use 250. Turn our tester on, test your tester, 0 megohms. That's what we're looking for. If there's a fault, that's what I would assume. that we may have. So I've touched on active, just any point, because we know that the metal switchboard has a good bond. We're getting 0. I'll go active to the earth bar, we're getting 0. Now I'll go to neutral, to the metal frame, we're getting 0 as well. So now I'm understanding of the fault that we've got at the switchboard. We have a short between our active neutral to earth, so that's our insulation resistance fault. We can now go inside the property and go through our next step and work out where that IR fault is. So it's important to understand what fault that you're chasing inside and using your tester. Don't guess. Years ago we used to guess, but now once you understand how to use this tester properly, you'll never actually go to a fault ever again unless you've got one of these guys. So it's so important to have this, and it makes it nice and easy to be able to find your fault because you're not guessing, you're looking for that fault. So we have a procedure on there. Go to our IR testing fault procedure and it shows you exactly the steps that we do now when we go inside. We've tested our fault inside the home. Now we're going to come back out to the switchboard to make sure that it's now clear. 250 volt scale, test your tester, 0 megohms. On a known earth point to our active conductor, that's clear. Neutral, clear. I'm going to touch up onto the earth bar to neutral is clear. Active is clear. Now test your tester. It does move, so I know my tester's working properly. We've cleared that fault and we've cleared that IR, so this can now actually go back on. Remember, you're looking for anything that below 1 megohm, but the one that is critical that will always trip out your RCD is your 0 megohm fault. When you see 0, that's the one that you want to get inside that home and remove it and make sure that it's clear, and we have. For some reason, if we have now started this fault and your IR passes, you now need to go to the next step. So there's 2 scenarios that you're going to face when fault finding. One is earth leakage, a fault to earth, or you have a short. So we've got an RCBO here. So it's looking for earth leakage and it's also looking for a short or overload. We've proven that the insulation resistance is passed. So now we're looking at your 3 ohm scale, which is in that middle scale there. So we're looking at a low resistive path between our conductors. Anything close to 0 is your short, and that's what you need to clear. So on the circuit that's in question, I'm going to test between our active conductor and our neutral conductor. That is not good. We are almost 0. So it means we have a short between our 2 conductors. I'm now going to switch to 500 ohms. Same thing, that's gone right across to 0 ohms, so that's not good. So what we're looking for in this case is a short, a dead short between our active conductor and our neutral conductor. Now we know what we're testing. When we did IR to earth, it passed, everything's fine. But when you test between active neutral, we're looking for a short now. So we're actually going to go inside the property and now we're chasing a dead short between those 2 conductors. We have a procedure on that, so go and check that video that explains in depth about how to find this fault inside. Polarity and correct circuit connections. Just using your 3 ohm scale on your IRC tester. Let's have a look. You may have a scenario where everything is actually in the on position. You've gone through and you've tested IR. You've tested for a dead short. Everything is passing. So now what we need to do is to determine, is our active passing through from the line side to the load side of our active and neutral conductors on both sides of this RCBO. Let's do this test. Test your tester and you're looking for a low resistive path between active and active. And we've got nothing between the line side and the load side of this RCBO. We'll go into the neutral to neutral. Neutral is fine. We'll go back to the active and it's missing a path between here and here. Test your tester again to double check it. We'll go through and check it. We're checking our little mark to make sure we're working on the right circuit. We're touching on active. We've got nothing. Our neutral. So our neutral is passing through. Now I'm just going to turn off that RCBO just to make sure it is switching. It's definitely switching the neutral. So our fault in this case, we've just got an RCBO that's faulty. If you've got another scenario where you've actually got where it passes through on everything, then what we can do is we can go to the line side of our RCBO to the lines side of your main switch, just to make sure that you've got good continuity all the way through. The active is active all the way through. You may have a scenario where you get nothing here. So then I would go back to the main switch, the line side to load side of your main switch. Yep, so I know that my main switch is fine. Turn it off, back on again. So there may be an issue of your buzz bar between this point and the line side of your RCBO. It might not be working, so then you'll have a look more there, and then you may even have a loose terminal if it's that easy, or the buzz bar on here has actually gone behind the terminal. It's not catching properly. That may be your fault. So there's a couple of scenarios there where you're looking at where you've done your first two tests and everything's tested and clear. Then you can actually go through and make sure, do I have active and do I have neutral at that point. You can also go on the neutral conductor here, and the line side of our neutral bar, that's a pass. I can go up to the neutral bar itself to make sure that all the way through I have good polarity, and we're checking for correct connections as well on your active and your neutral paths going in and out of that RCBO. Last step of all, if all of your tests are satisfactory and they pass here, your IR is good. There's no dead short. Your polarity and correct connections inside this switchboard is all fine and you're happy with it all. There's two possibilities that you could have at this property now. One is an intermittent fault, or you may have an overload issue where the customer's just got too many things on that particular circuit, and when that right scenario, they turn on that third item or the fourth item goes on, bang, circuit trips out. So what we'll need to do now in that case is go back inside and have a little bit more of a chat with the customer and just explain if how many times that this has happened in the past. It could have been happening once a month for the last 6 months. Or look, every time I put this on, I've got the washing machine on, and then we turn on this other item over here, or a little heater in the room here, and it's always tripping out. So that'll give you an idea, and then you can look at that particular circuit, see exactly how many, the wattage of all those appliances, and then you'll determine, yes, it's definitely an overload, and then go through a scenario with the customer that you can fix that issue for them. I'd like to know a little bit more about what an intermittent fault is. You may have a lamp, it could be a certain heater that when it gets to a certain temperature every now and then, it will just trip off. And then we'll go and test, and everything tests fine. You remove it from the wall, you test it, and it's testing fine. IR is fine, and there's no dead short between active and neutral. And it'll look like everything's fine. So when you go through, there is another procedure that you can go through when you do those faults. Sometimes you may even have to get the customers to remove a few items on that particular circuit and only use individual items at a time, and then they will call you in a couple of weeks and say, you know what, it was this. Every time we plug this particular item in, and when we used it, it tripped out, and that's the fault. So they are a lot harder to find, especially when you test everything and everything tests clear. It's only going to show up when that particular item creates that fault inside the appliance itself or that piece of equipment. So just sort of go into that and make you understand what an intermittent fault is. I hope you've enjoyed this process that we go through at the switchboard. Keep in mind that this is the process we do only at the switchboard. We have a lot of other steps. Once we know and have determined the fault at the board, we'll go inside and keep going through further. But this is just to show you to find the fault at the switchboard to try and determine what you're actually chasing inside the property.